The other experiment we're going to do to test out how we can change pressure is going to be pressure compared to temperature, pressure versus temperature. So how we're going to accomplish that is that means we have to keep the other variables the same, right? We have to keep the volume the same. So in order to keep the volume the same, we're going to use a rigid container this time. Instead of a syringe, we're going to have an Erlenmeyer flask with a stopper on top. That way the volume is not changing. The volume of the flask remains the same. There's this setup on the top of the sensor, or excuse me, the Erlenmeyer flask that connects, that's where we're going to connect our sensor. So I have multiple setups for that because we have a kind of mismatched equipment. And one is just going to be a lure with a hose barb here that's just going to allow us to connect a hose directly to, or tubing directly to a stopper that's going to go into this flask. And here there's just this valve that you can see. There's a little hole inside the valve, and when you turn this, it lines the hole up with the tube, and that lets gas in and out, or liquid if we had that in there. Okay, so when you turn it so that it's crossing the tube, it is off, and when it's in line with the tube, it's on, or it allows things through. This is a different setup with just different connectors. Just like the sensors have different connectors, we've got to use something different here. So I just have a regular Erlenmeyer flask, put the stopper in, and you've got a valve similar to the other flask, but instead there's a plastic one on top of the stopper instead of connected to the, as part of the glass. You got to be gentle with these, by the way, because this could snap. So this will allow you to do the same thing, where if you can see that there's a hole in there, and when you turn this, the hole is now facing the wrong direction, so gas can't escape. You turn it on and off, or open and closed. So if this is closed and we connect our sensor, these need a connection here, and you got to be really careful that, again, you don't turn these more than just a little bit gently. And with this type, you do need it to connect to the stopper, and I recommend taking the stopper out, and that way you can turn the stopper instead of turning the hose. So now that's connected, and you can have a volume of air in a rigid container that you can measure. If the pressure builds up inside and you want to reset, you just open this, and then you can close this. So then we can put this container in a whole bunch of different temperatures. Like if this was on and this was boiling water, we can put this in here, measure our temperature, measure our pressure when the gas inside is getting hotter, and then we can take this out and put it in an ice bath and measure what happens when we cool it down.